All right. Good morning, everybody. You made it to Friday. This is really worth celebrating. Massive working week for most people. Some lucky people are still only coming to work next week. I mean, I don't understand how you can get away with that. Halfway through the month, in the first month of the year, I mean, really, that's very slack. Don't you think, Simphiwe?
No, those are the kind of people I want to know because clearly you're a CEO of something. Like only CEOs are coming back on the 16th. So can I please have your name, your number, contact details, and just holler at a sister?
Well, it is Friday and you've made it this far. So if you've had your first proper working week of the year, congratulations. Pat yourself on the back. You are already in the achievement stakes. All right, we want to hear from you this morning. You know how to get hold of us. You can drop us a message in YouTube if you're watching us live. It's usually the best way because that's where the comments section is moved to. But there are some people who are making good use of our WhatsApp line, and I've been playing a couple of these WhatsApp calls, WhatsApp notes on the WhatsApp line 0717836214. You want to get hold of us there, then do it. Join us anywhere you like, but as long as you join us. All right, so loads of things, as has been the case every day this week, to get stuck into almost immediately. So just I hate starting the show with this stuff because it's like radio funeral. It's like the old people's, the old age home where they, who died last night? I think Denise in room number
And she
47
wasn't doing
died.
well. Last week when I saw her, I was a bit worried.
You know, uh, Leslochonolo in number 23 didn't last through the night. Anyway, so poor old Lisa Marie Presley. I mean, what a tragic life this woman had. It's Elvis Presley's daughter, one and only daughter that he had with Priscilla. I mean, really, what people know about her is what I've just said, that she was Elvis's daughter and that she married Michael Jackson. That's pretty much anybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much all anybody knows about Lisa Marie Presley. So, I mean, this tragic life. She died now at the age of what, 50? Let me just check this story because this is quite something. 54.
That's so
And
young.
I know, cardiac arrest. And poor old Priscilla had to confirm the news saying, my beautiful daughter, Lisa Marie, has left us after she rushed to her hospital bedside. It's believed that someone administered epinephrine in the at the scene at least one time to try and keep her going. Her ex-husband, a guy called Danny Keogh, performed CPR until the paramedics arrived. 54-year-old was the child of Elvis Presley and Priscilla, heir to her father's fortune. And a very, very sad story. She died in California. It's just, Elvis is a big deal to a lot of people. You don't have to guess who sent me the story, right? It was
No.
Randall Abrams. Like I woke up and he was already awake and he'd sent the story to me. And the sad thing about this is just she's like she was only ever known for being someone's daughter, and she never really, and someone's wife, obviously, while she was married to Michael Jackson, which was the weirdest marriage in all of human history. And I suppose it's not the worst thing in the world to be known as someone's daughter, someone's wife, someone's husband, someone's brother, or whatever, because if you've got a famous father like Elvis, what chance do you have of carving out your own space in the world? I mean, she was never going to go into, singing to compete with him, was she? That was never going to happen. The greatest male singer in U.S. history, some will say, the king, And I think that this girl had this tragic life because when you grow up like that, and the whole week everybody's been talking in the media about Harry, but if you've got famous family, it just makes it's not easier. We all think, oh, it'd be great to be born into this family or to that famous person, or to have a dad or a mom who's a movie star, or some famous world leader or whatever. but it isn't always actually. And sometimes it can really it creates such expectations for you that in any other family that nobody knew, you'd get away with being average. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, in some families, you might not even be average. You might be average compared to the average person in the world, but in your family, you might be a superstar. Some people, some
The
families
Beyonce
just,
of the group.
yeah. I mean, like if your family are a bunch of underachievers and you are the best, even though you're pretty ordinary, like you could come across looking fantastic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I'll stop short of saying I feel sorry for her because I don't really. I mean, she, inherited these millions and millions of dollars just because she was Elvis's daughter. So life wasn't really difficult for her from that point of view. But like living up to what other people expect of you can be pretty devastating if you're not, in any way equipped to deal
Mm-hmm.
with that. And her dad died. She hardly knew him. Hardly knew him. She was a tiny little girl when Elvis died in the 70s. So I just I think that this life was a bit tragic, and I'll never forget my favorite Lisa Marie Presley moment was when she was on Oprah Winfrey years ago. I think I've told the story, and maybe people have heard me tell it, and they're going to get annoyed now when I tell it again. But I'll never forget this because it was also Thabo Modisane, my producer's favorite thing he'd ever seen on TV. And she's sitting there, and Oprah goes, "Oh, so Lisa Marie, tell me." And Lisa Marie looks at her. "Tell me about your marriage to Michael Jackson." And Lisa Marie looks Oprah dead in the eyes and she goes, "Oh, holy mother of God." That's all she said. And Oprah goes, and the whole audience go, and that's all she said. She didn't say anything else. And it's like out of all the answers I've ever seen given in an interview, that one was the one that was like, wow, she's not even going to tell us any details. She's going to go, "Oh, holy mother of God." But it was gasps on both sides. Yeah. Just unbelievable.
Ah, that
Yeah.
must have made like TV just break for a minute, or like
Yeah.
because there was no internet. So the internet
No.
wasn't breaking, it was the TV. Literally, everyone was like, "What did this?"
Wow. Wow. Just unbelievable. So, yeah. I mean, it's a very sad story. The other person who seems to have passed away last night, according to some of our listeners in the comments section, and I have no reason to disbelieve them, but Harry Coetzee, who was one of South Africa's boxing legends, also apparently died in the night, 67 years old.
Oh, wow.
Harry Coetzee, I'm not a big boxing fan, but I knew the name. He was a South African professional boxer. He was in competition from 74 to 86, and then later on
Mhm.
from 93 to 97. He was the first African ever to fight for and win the World Heavyweight Championship, having held the
Wow.
WBA title. From 1983 to 1984, he held notable knockout wins against people like Michael Dokes. Maybe these names are familiar to you if you're a boxing fan. Um, Leon Spinks, as well as a draw with future WC world champion Pinklon Thomas. So they called him the Bionic Hand. His Afrikaans nickname was Sierhandjies, or Sore
Oh,
Little Hands. And he was called that by Kali Knutzer. Anyway, he died at 67 years old just yesterday. And he was born in
sure.
Boksburg, your hood,
Oh,
Simphiwe. Yeah.
yeah. Legends stay there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fighters stay there.
Listen, Boksburg, for all the horrible things I've said about it, and you haven't been able to defend yourself this week when we accused
Hey,
you of
Gareth.
being one of the people who went to watch that tanker explode. Um, for all the things we say about Boksburg, let me tell you that little place has battered way above its own weight in terms of delivering the world celebrities. You've got a princess who's come out of there. You've got a Hollywood A-lister. You've got a world champion boxer. A lot to be proud of in little old Boksburg, right?
Okay, Gareth is not that little, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a really like it's a I always say the East Rand is the best Rand, you know. We have the
Mhm.
North, the East. The South should just be blown up, made into a beach. That's my philosophy in life. But yeah, like the East Rand is where it's at. It's where it's popping. And since we're starting off the show a bit gloomy with death, there's this like
I'm
old
sorry.
lady that I follow on TikTok. She's a grandma, right? And she might be the reason why I create a TikTok account for my grandmother, because she has such oomph in her. And she recently dropped a video about goals for 2023.
Yeah,
And I'm just gonna play it for you. You can see for yourself what this lady's about, and you tell me.
bring it on.
Goals for 2023. Slay every day. I don't want to waste a day without slaying. Don't text exes. Most of my exes passed away, but 2 are still alive. And I'm not texting them. Hit 1 billion followers. I'm going to be the first to do it. Stay alive. I just don't want to expire yet. And what would you do without me? Happy, healthy New Year's.
I know her. I follow her on Instagram.
She's amazing, isn't she?
She's hilarious. I mean, she talks about her boyfriends and things, and you think like, gee, old grandma, you still got boyfriends. And she's like, I don't let no man tell me what to do, kind of thing. She's fantastic. I love her. She's awesome.
Yes. And I saw another one where she was like, "Oh, this is gonna be my funeral outfit. What do you guys think?" She's like, "I'm not dead yet, but I still gotta slay."
Yeah, what is she called on Instagram? Because I do follow her.
Oh, I follow her on TikTok. I hope it's the same name. I really hope so. Because yeah, can I see her name?
You'll find it for us, but she's worth following. She needs to get to that 1 billion followers before she dies. So let's try and help her get there.
She's amazing. She's
Yeah,
absolutely amazing. A breath of fresh air, and she's so old, and she's just so in tune
she's
with
great.
technology.
She's great. All right, so here are a couple of comments. Benoni delivered the princess. Yes, of course. We're talking about Princess Charlene of Monaco. Tracy says, wait, that actress came from a farm in Benoni, lest we forget. Okay, so
Still the
Benoni.
East Rand.
It's still
East
East Rand.
It's
Yeah.
like my neighbor. We're just like,
Yeah.
hey, visit,
No, fair point. Fair point. All right. We had a really busy day yesterday. All of us.
Yes.
At CliffCentral. In case you don't know, we're going to be moving soon.
Mhm.
We're actually moving premises for the first time since we started the business. We have decided it's time to upgrade and move on up, and we've got exciting things to announce. Among other things, I mean, there's lots of other stuff in the pipeline, but we are really hitting the road running this year. Only our first proper week back at work for everybody, and we're moving house. So we'll tell you all about that and let you in, and you'll start seeing a lot of exciting stuff happening on the social media and all the rest of it very, very soon. So we went to visit our new premises yesterday. We're building a new studio there. There's a lot of cool stuff happening, and I was in wall-to-wall meetings, recording interviews. So we really are busy this week. I know it's not just me; the whole team are really full schedules. Everybody's got a lot to do. So we're going to let you in on all of that. But it's really, I don't know about you, Simphiwe, but this week has been, I thought I'd start this year, sort of smoothly. I had a, in the back of my mind, I kind of knew we had plenty of plans, but I thought, the first week back, I'll have a chance to catch my breath. And, I mean, Jesus, it hasn't stopped.
Nope.
Like
It's like
I've put like,
back.
I put like 800 kilometers on the clock this week, and
Oh wow.
I have been in like wall-to-wall meetings and but serious discussion, not those meetings where you just sit and wait for someone to finish so that you can go to the loo or you can have a cup of coffee or we all sit in those meetings sometimes, right?
Yes.
So none of that's happening. It's all real work. I don't know if you're feeling the same way.
Oh, definitely. So I was here a week before you, Gareth, and that week we could already feel that 2023 is coming with a different energy. People are back in the office and they're like, yeah, Happy New Year. Da, 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 da. You're like, oh, shucks. I thought I still had another
Yeah.
day. Like I thought I was just gonna show face, But no, that's not the case. People are back in it. And it's really cool. It's really interesting. But yeah, the one thing I'm excited about, Gareth, is I've joined a gym.
Simphiwe. Exciting.
Yes, yeah. Yes, and it's like my first time like, you know, gymming, like going to an
Yeah.
actual gym. I've worked out at home and done that at home workouts. So now I'm actually putting like money behind this thing and I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know, like I was even nervous to sign that contract 'cause I was like so much money for gym. And then there's people that don't go. You, yeah,
Well,
you guys are playing, hey?
Well, I also think that, like anything in life, once you actually pay for something, you take it seriously. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. He does professional coaching for people in business, um, people who just want to level up, people who want to get unstuck from whatever they're in at the moment where they feel like they're not going anywhere. So he's a professional and a personal coach. And he says to people, when people say to him, "Oh, that's quite expensive," when he tells them how much he charges, he says, "Well, how much do you think change costs?
Mm,
What's it worth to you? How much do you want to improve? Because if you only want to improve like for 100 rand, then I'm not your guy.
mm,
Because if this is what I cost, this is what I charge. If you don't want to pay that, then go and find someone low budget, and then we'll see how much you improve." And it's interesting, like gym is the same. I think if you don't pay a membership and you don't force yourself to take it seriously, like it comes off your account every month. Like if I waste this, then I'm it's on me.
mm.
There's an extra motivation to go, right?
Yes. And that's how I'm feeling. I'm like, yo, I've signed the contract. I've agreed to let this debit order hit every month. I'm like, now I feel like I'm committed. Like I'm committed to making sure that I reach my health goals for 2023, And it's interesting because the whole team is trying to be healthy this year. So I think it's great motivation as well. It's not like, oh, I'm the only one
Mm,
gymming and coming back to the office and like, oh guys, gym is so hectic. It's like Mash is doing it. You're
right.
also on the like
Yeah.
healthy life, and also Ryan, he's also like, you know what, he's getting his life in order. So yeah, Cliff Central is gonna be very healthy this year.
We're all going to be pitching up like those irritating people with like a shake for breakfast in the
Oh
mornings and all of that stuff.
yes. and
This is
and
interesting. George
mhm.
Meany says, and I can well believe it. I'm not sure. A lot of statistics are made up, but George doesn't make them up. He says 2/3 of gym contracts go unused. Two
What?
thirds. Yeah. Listen, the gyms are full at the moment. Hey, I went.
You know what?
I I didn't get a chance to go on Tuesday because we were so busy. Wednesday we
Mhm,
were so busy. Yesterday, but I've got to go today because otherwise I won't get in my quota of doing at least 3 a week. And I'm
mhm,
trying to do 3 a week, maybe if I can 4.
mhm.
And I went on Monday. It was packed. There were so many people in that gym.
January. New
Yeah,
year, new me. Everyone is like, let me get
yeah.
back.
No, they'll all
It's
be
part of the
pumped on
reason why I
Monday.
haven't gone just as yet. So I'm waiting for it to, because I don't like working out with everyone there. So
Mm,
I'll probably like only start hitting it from next week to say, okay, cool, we're getting into the rhythm of things, and
yeah.
let's see how it goes. And I can't wait to also be like, oh, my legs are killing me. I just don't want to drive. Leg
But
day.
But imagine being a gym. I mean, like these places, if George says 67% of gym contracts go unused, that means 2/3 of the people who are paying for the gyms, who are who are like regularly contributing from their salary into a gym membership that they do not use. 2/3 of that money, the gym can just go, okay, well, just put that straight into costs, and whatever's left is pure profit, right? And then
Mhm,
the people who actually use the gym are being subsidized effectively by those other 2/3. That's
mhm.
great. And this
Yeah.
is such a good line from Parallel Parking, and it's so true. If you don't take things seriously, you end up paying for them too. That
Mm,
is such a good point.
yes.
Very good point. So, Simphiwe, we got a lot of ground to cover because we've spoken about stuff this week, and I've been waiting to hear what you think about all of it. Are there any things over the holidays that you want to tell us about? No parties you were thrown out of? No, no, leftover stuff on the cutting room floor from all the news stories that happened over the last, 20, 30 days that we didn't hear from each other and we didn't have a conversation together on the show. What can you update us on? I mean, there must be some stuff you want to still get into.
So to answer your question, no, Gareth, I did not get kicked out of any New Year's party. I was very well behaved this year. And I just, was one of those people who were indoors for most of the time. I was on leave. And the one New Year's Eve party that I did go to on the 31st, I had a good time. I really did. I behaved. And yeah, like I just have the one thing I will say is that this year as well, see, I think like we are all in the same spirits because also this year it's like everyone in CliffCentral is very open to finding love, you know.
Ah, you
Yes, like
too?
it's yes, Gareth, I think it's about time. Because my grandmother is really putting the pressure. She's just like, girl, I'm not trying to die without you having a man. Like,
Oh
and I'm
boy.
like, you know what? This is the year. This is the year we are definitely are going to try and yeah, I'm very much open. You are open, Ryan's open, Mash is
Yeah.
open. Like, so the odds are with us, I think.
All right, well, listen, I mean, so many people go through life and they don't open themselves up to things, and then when those things don't happen, they're like, "Oh, it's so unfair," but they didn't actually put it out there, you know?
Mhm.
You have to consciously be in the frame of mind where you're like, "No, this is going to be a year where I do this, this, and the other." It's like setting goals,
Yes.
but
And
but
getting a
but
man
make
is one
sure.
of them.
Well, yeah, but do it for the right reasons. If it's just to shut your gran up, that's not such a good idea.
Well, if he ticks all the other boxes, maybe it's a great one. I mean,
Maybe.
the first other box is, is he financially
Maybe.
stable? Very important.
No, no, we know you want someone to pay some of those bills. I got you. Don't worry. Nothing wrong with that.
That's
Jeez.
it.
So, I mean, it would be great if wouldn't it be just terrific if you meet someone and they've got tons of money? Again, it depends on your point of view. But imagine getting into that situation and then you never have to worry about money again. Like everything you do from then on is just because you want to, not because you have to.
I'd be I don't believe in love at first sight, but I'd understand how it's so easy to fall in love with someone within the first 3 weeks because wow, that's just love. Like I don't need to worry about bills. Oh, sir, who are you? You are my Prince Charming. You've definitely have given me the world and then some. And I'd definitely be happy. So, you know, to all the CEOs out there who are still single.
Yeah, I just remember some CEOs are terrible people, and the reason that they're the CEOs because they work 24/7. You'll never see them. You don't mind?
I think for now, let the money comfort me. Let's first get the
Huh.
money. Let's first see how luxury really looks like and feels like before we like, oh, I never see him. Let's first cross that bridge
All right.
of, yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
A couple of comments here on the gym memberships and going back to gym. Carl says Virgin Active relies on people not going. If everyone went, they'd have to build new gyms. Good point,
Ooh,
well put. Dogoza says, I'm so demotivated to work out lately. I peeled myself off the bed this morning and went for a jog. Well done that you at least did it. You know, they say that just showing up is talking about 2/3. That's 2/3 of the battle won. If you actually just get up and do it, I mean, like getting into your car and going to the gym is once you've broken the back of that, then once you're there, like getting into it, even if you're not that excited, you might be a bit sluggish on your first couple of days. Just do it anyway. If you don't
mhm.
go, you can't complain. Um, and then a lot of other people saying, you know, don't worry about January New Year's resolution. See how busy the gyms are by mid-March or winter. That's according to Tracy. Kampamba says, I've been working out for maybe 12 years now, and every time I take someone new with me, they're so insecure. They don't understand how nobody in the gym cares about them. Yeah, that's also a good point because you said it just now, Simphiwe. I mean, like people are always, they think like the gym is like going to a nightclub or like going to a bar or a restaurant. No one in there is actually that interested in you. There are obviously, there's some people who go to the gym and they're kind of looking at who else is there and
Mhm.
maybe they're comparing themselves to everyone else. But honestly, most of those people are like, oh, got to be here to improve myself. Only a tiny minority of people also actually enjoy it, like
Mm.
actively love it, because you like the way it makes you feel. And especially if after you've had a really good workout, walk out of there and you feel, you could sense those endorphins in you, and you're like, I'm feeling good about doing this. But while you're actually doing it, you're like, oh, it's exhausting. I could think of 10 things I'd rather be doing, and you just have to force yourself.
Yeah. Have you ever like cried? Because I've heard some people actually cry because they've done so many reps and they're pushing their bodies so much and they're just like, yo. And I was like, yo, that's hectic.
Mhm.
Hectic.
I once went training with Ben years ago, and Ben will be joining us just now, by the way.
Mhm.
And I think we did like the most intense like leg workout stuff. And I got into the car and I was actually like shaking. And when you start feeling like you might pass out, it hasn't happened for a
Mhm.
long time, but I knew
Yeah.
I'd pushed myself properly. So I felt absolutely shit for a little while. And then once I'd kind of gained some composure, then I was
Mhm.
thrilled that I'd done it. But it's hard to push yourself like that. It really is.
Mhm.
Cheryl says you might meet the man of your dreams at the gym, Simphiwe. Choose a nice instructor. Yeah, and
Mm.
you might find a personal trainer that you get some advice from in those. Because if you've never been to a gym before, you look at some of that equipment, you go, I will never use that thing. But you'd be surprised once you know what it is. And you do need. I used to go, and then this girl came up to me once. She was paying attention because she was a personal trainer. She
Mhm.
saw me and she said, "You are." These were exact words. She said, "You are fucking around and wasting your time. You need a personal trainer." Obviously,
Okay.
she was looking for business, but I fell for it, right? And I said to her, "All right, you are it. How much do you charge?" And she told me, and I thought, "All right, well, let's give it a try." And she taught me, like how to use stuff properly. And if you don't know what
Mhm.
you're doing, especially in those first few weeks, even months, it's useful to have someone who can show you this stuff. So good for you.
Thank you.
Here he is, Ben Karpinski. Hello, Ben.
Morning,
Look at you,
everybody.
Ben.
Yeah,
Morning.
you're tanned as hell. Did you have a nice holiday?
Yeah, I don't actually tan much. I just naturally go quite brown. It's the Eastern European in me, obviously.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
very good.
okay.
Thank you. I must apologize. I'm sounding more nasal than ever. I've got a bit of this fucking load shedding is killing my sleep patterns. So got a
Me
bit of
too.
it's like I have the fan on, and the fan dies with the power, and then I'm all hot and sweaty. It's a mess. I'm a mess. Anyway,
I have one of those ceiling fans in my bedroom, and when the power goes off, obviously the fan stops just like yours, but when it comes back on, the light on the fan, right? Oh, Ben, your camera just collapsed on us.
sorry.
So this light comes on, and then I wake up at like 2 a.m. or whatever, and I see this light on because it's just when the power comes on, that's what happens to it. So I always know when there's been load shedding. But this light can sometimes wake me up because it's quite bright. So I've got to find a way of disconnecting the damn thing, taking the bulb out or whatever.
It's so shit. Yeah,
but
and obviously because it's like so stifling hot right now, you get all the mosquitoes. So my favorite time of the day, which used to be the sleep, is now an absolute war zone, falling to pieces here.
We said we were not going to bitch too much about load shedding because it's just the reality this year. So it's one of my things that I'm not going to be doing too much on the show if we could possibly help it. Simphiwe, your power's gone down like 3 times.
Like 3 times. Yeah. As Ben is talking, I'm just like, okay, this is great. This is amazing. And boom, it's back. I don't know what the hell's going on. There's been like a whole lot of load shedding, but there's also been like water shedding happening here in the north. So it's just like, great times, amazing times.
Falling apart. Like I know someone who couldn't take a shower for like a day and a half because she didn't have water. It's just crazy. Listen, Ben, we had I didn't see a lot of anybody over the holidays because I was pretty damn busy, but I did while I was in Cape Town for 2.5, 3 days. I did manage to see Ben, which was really cool. And we went out one night and did some Cape Town things, which was very cool. We, had a few drinks, and like we made the stupid mistake though of trying to chase the party instead of just staying where we were.
So you guys went to multiple locations. That's what you
We
said.
did. We did.
The problem in Cape
fault.
Town is that those multiple locations are often far apart in distance, and you have to go along, the busy kind of roads, and there only are a few ways over the mountain and that kind of thing. So we really we were so amateurish about it that night, but we were having a lot of fun in one place. And then we decided, no, we were going to go somewhere else. When we got there, we were like, nah, we'd rather not be here. So we tried to make up for that by going to another place, which is really shit. And then we decided, like teenagers, no, we'll have to go back to the place we started at. So it was just a waste of time. It was such a waste of time. And then we got there and they were only, only open for another hour or whatever. But it was a fun night.
It was a really fun night. And I must apologize to your friend who at the end of the night probably didn't like me because I poured my drink in his shoe by mistake.
Wait! How does that happen, Ben?
Paul, I'm really sorry, Paul. I think it still sticks with him. I hope he's got over it in the year. No, it's like you have one of those nights where stuff just happens and it's just pretty funny and you recollect like the next day or two, and that was one of those nights.
I'm just trying to imagine him having the rest of his holiday with a sticky shoe.
If he ever sees me, it's going to be, it's that guy.
His fiance is the one who I said she set fire to his house twice, but not because she wants to kill him.
Wow.
She told me this the day after we'd gone out. Because I really didn't know much about her, and we were sitting talking, and she said to me, there was one occasion where the whole kitchen, she like made the whole ceiling black with like soot and charcoal because she almost burnt the whole house down. She left a pot on the stove and like went to have a shower and was taking calls on her phone, and then she suddenly smelled something and she went and looked in the kitchen and there was a fire on the fucking stove. She'd left like a pot with oil in it, and then she made the mistake of like she tried to pour the oil out somewhere outside, I think, and then that caught fire. So the grass was on fire. She said it was like a major shit show, and as if that wasn't bad enough. Yeah. And then, so he's looking at her telling these stories, and he's looking at both of us, and he's like, "Jeez, am I making the right?" Because they're getting married, so he's like, "Am I making the right decision here?" And she thinks it's hilarious. So
no, he's making a good one. Nah,
I think a sticky
happens.
shoe is not the worst thing that's happened to him.
If you cook regularly,
feel better.
I promise you, if you cook regularly, there's been one time where you've almost burnt down that kitchen. Be it if you put something in the oven for too long, or there's something on the stove and you completely forgot about it, or like load shedding and you just are like, oh yeah, I forgot about the pots. They're good. At least once.
No, I disagree. I think we as South Africans are against so much adversity. We cannot actually be absent-minded anymore. Think about it. Every single day we have to live differently to the rest of the world. We don't have this carefree rom-com existence where we can go stare at the daisies while our pot overflows. Every single day in this place, we've got to be diligent because something's going to try fuck us. So you can't have this, it'll happen to everyone thing. No, it won't.
No. You've got to be super alert.
Whoa. Let me stand up for all the South Africans that actually, are like, I've been going through a lot. And when you come back home, you want to unwind. And that's when the forgetfulness kind of happens, where you put something on the stove, it's going to take 5 minutes and you get distracted. That's all I'm saying. That's just human. It's not even about being South African, Ben.
No, fair point. I will appreciate that. And that's what's nice about you, Simphiwe. The female perspective. As you see, I kind of lack this in life, clearly.
But then, Simphiwe was telling me she's just signed up and joined a gym, which she used to
Congrats.
She used to do some other stuff, but now she's taking it seriously and putting her money where her mouth is, and she's going to, start training that. And I was saying to her that, you in the very beginning were the first person to take me to a gym and force me to do a little bit of exercise and showed me what everything. Well, you showed me what most of the stuff is, and you literally forgot it 3 seconds later. I know. But she asked, if you've ever walked out of the gym and like felt like you were going to die. And I remember there was that one time where I think we went to that New Road Voda World gym or whatever. I remember getting into my car afterwards and I felt like I was going to pass out because we'd had a particularly successful session. And it's a great feeling, but not while you're doing it, obviously.
No, it's not. It's a learning thing. And ideally you shouldn't feel that often, but you are going to feel that at times because you have to keep pushing your body to do new things. But some people just always think like this is a long-term thing to enjoy. So you don't win the race now. You kind of enjoy the marathon. Just always, that's the only piece of gym advice anyone should ever give you.
Sure, that's kind words, Ben. You know, a lot of people have been like,
Only
you have to
words.
go work out like 3 times, do this, do that. I like that. Thank you.
There we go. She's
Yes.
taking that to the bank. Ryan is saying to us that ESCOM, apparently the latest news is that they're trying to fuck us even more.
What?
18% tariff increases.
For
Oh,
what?
I know, for not providing us with electricity.
So you don't do your job and you still want an increase. How does that work?
Mm-hmm. That is how it works here. It's another one of those crazy things that South Africans have to put up with that Ben was talking about. All right, so did you spend some time with the family over the holidays, Ben?
Yeah, holidays were amazing. That was so great. I think it was like 9-10 days. Should have been longer. I could come to realize, like, as much as I don't need a long time away, the rest of the world takes a long time away. So I should take longer December trips. But it was really cool. I did a nice road trip, stayed in some amazing places. I know I'm getting old, but I just love the Karoo so much. It's so damn special. And I kind of had this amazing pilgrimage to Gary Player's old stud farm, which you can actually stay at now. It's
in Colesberg, right?
Yeah, so if you're going towards Colesberg from Bloemfontein, you turn left at the Karoo Dam, and then you just keep winding around there. And it's stunning. It's an existing horse stud. So there's horses there, there's stables, there's dogs. There was, I think, 6 dogs welcome you, which is always a good sign for me. There's a big pool. It was just perfect. I only had one night though, unfortunately. And then I went to Graaff-Reinet, to a hotel I've always wanted to stay at. Did some beach time. As you can see, I got some color.
Well done.
Yeah, just did everything I kind of wanted, which was really cool.
Well, we're very proud of Simphiwe for not being thrown out of any parties this December, because that's usually what happens to her. So obviously good news all around.
I've changed my ways, Gareth.
Oh, man. I think about like these people who put these crazy New Year's resolutions into place. Neither of you are one of those kind of people, are you?
Yeah.
Wait, does it count if like I feel like now I'm gonna be judged. I have like a vision board every year. So it's like, and I'll like sit with myself to be like, in 2023, what would I like to achieve? And then you kind of just get pictures or words that kind of like symbolize some of the things I want to achieve, and boom, that's up. But New Year resolutions, I don't know about that anymore, but a vision board, that's what I do.
No, I think a vision board's a lot different because everyone has vision in life. And if you choose the start of the year to update it, then great. But your vision board, if you were to do them diligently, they won't change too much. New Year's resolutions, like people have these really big things, as always while drunk, because you make a New Year's resolution on a holiday. You should make a New Year's resolution on, I don't know, January the 25th, because you're sober, you're poor, obviously. And I think you'll have a much more sort of based opinion on what you're capable of. I mean, if you sat at a bar with all your mates and go, "Yo, this is the year I'm going to do comrades, or I'm going to lose 40 kilograms," you say these things because you're talking out your ass. Do it when you're actually back home and you're a bit more normal, and then you'll actually do something that might be attainable.
I didn't put any resolutions in. I mentioned on Monday, and Simphiwe heard me, that I always write down like 3 things I want to do, 3 places I want to go, 3 people I want to meet, 3 things I want to buy, just for fun. And then I see how many I can get done. And if I don't, then they just move on to the next year. But, sometimes they can form some kind of a goal. And my goals this year are more around, business and just opening yourself up to new kind of experiences and things. But ironically, without setting it in place, I haven't had a drink this year. I've not touched any alcohol for today's the 13th, 13 days. I don't think it's going to last, not because I am desperately craving alcohol at the moment, but because I've got a friend's birthday this weekend. But I haven't missed it at all. And I got to tell you, hangovers are way worse when you get to my age than they've ever been before. And I was talking to some friends over the holidays about this very thing. Like, while you are in your early 20s, you feel like you're invincible. Nothing can stop you. And hangovers last a couple of minutes, right? They don't do anything to you. If you get a really bad hangover at my age now, you like man down for a day and a half. You just crawl around. You're useless. You can't think fast. Everything's a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, I had one night out with you, Cliff, and I was a mess for 2 days. Although to be fair, that was completely my doing, not yours.
Yeah. I think Cape Town in December though is a complete shit show in terms of that. You can't avoid it. There's just so much going on. There's so many people. It's always busy, and there are things happening down every street. It's a very cool place to visit. I could never ever live there. I've said it a million times, but to visit it is cool.
On the whole resolution thing, I've always loved what you said with those 3 things, because it's fun and like you have no pressure because you can always carry it over. Sometimes you just don't do things because other good things pop up, and that's what happens. It's always a negative thing. You don't achieve what you think at the beginning of the year. But we've got this quite coincidentally, we got this thing in our office where we wanted to have this away day, and our MD had this whole thing of like, what's one word that you want to describe your year? And the weird thing is I was thinking about that as well, because if you have resolutions or these big goals, you almost derail what things could happen because you're so set on something. But if you focus on an attribute or something that you want to become, that can apply into anything. So I was thinking like this year, like last year I was just trying to sort of tread water in a couple of things, as you do when you're an entrepreneur, as they always say, and all those cliches. But I think like this year, I've got one word that I think is really important. That's like being indispensable. As humans, if we were indispensable, then we'd love what we do, we'd be good at what we do, and we'd have like a lot of sort of like pride and maybe sort of pressure to maintain what we do. So if you think of like any relationship or any position you are in life where you're not indispensable, then you're not committed. Like you're not good enough. Your heart's probably not in it. It's like if you're in a relationship and you think you're a shit boyfriend, you're not indispensable. It's probably get out of that. If you're an employee or you're a business partner or whatever, you're not indispensable, then you should probably try harder, or again, get out of that. So, I really like the one word thing. I know it sounds big and grandiose, but it's also kind of important.
Indispensables. That's quite a big, hairy, audacious goal, because I've always believed no one is indispensable. I mean, everybody jokes about this, but if something terrible had to happen to any of us, they'd find someone to do what we all do. I mean, they might not be able to do it as well as you, but it's we all think we're irreplaceable, and indispensable and irreplaceable obviously mean different things. But I think that's a good word. It's a good word to aim at.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can always be replaced. I mean, we've seen people come and go, and you just step up into a role. But I think if you have an initial goal of being the best at that thing, and it's like you can be the best fucking owner to a pet, or like the best person to someone every single day. Like it's a really cool thing because we all can be that. Indispensable at being you. Like I know that I'm not indispensable to a few social groups. That's because I just don't care, and it's a good reflection about where they are, and then I know where to put my time in life, where I do want to be indispensable.
I don't know if this is true, but I'm willing to take all advice on this. Marty says take one glutathione tablet the night before you go to sleep, and you won't know the word hangover. Anybody want to climb in on that? I don't know. We've never tried
that.
What is it?
In theory, there's a fair amount of research around that, fair amount of experience that will agree with that, but it also just depends. If you have literally gone through 3 bottles of brandy on an empty stomach, no amount of glutathione is going to save you.
Ben, that's also amateur things. Why are you drinking on an empty stomach? Stop it.
Simphiwe, you say that, I say that, but there's some people out there not the smartest, huh?
Get your base covered. Make sure you have a good meal before you drink. That helps you. Like it helps.
See, here's another one. Rehydrate and ACC.
Well, yeah. If you think about it, booze is depleting you. It's dehydrating you. It's basically fucking you up. So what you need to do is just kind of replenish. Rehydrate's a big thing.
The good Dr. Witt to explain to us what a hangover actually does, but as I understand it in my very limited knowledge, and really I can't believe for someone who's suffered so many hangovers in my life that I've never paid more attention to what actually happens in your head when you have a hangover. But as I understand, it's dehydration. It's basically not enough liquid replenishment, and by liquid we mean water, to your brain. And your brain actually loses water, so it dehydrates, but also those meninges around your brain, the like sleeves that hold your brain in place, they also then are depleted of water that dries them out a bit, and that's where you get the hangover. Because your brain has no actual sense of itself. Your brain doesn't feel pain. Like if you stick a needle into someone's brain, their brain doesn't feel that. So a headache is not your brain, as I understand. I mean, I might be wrong here. And again, if there's a doctor listening who's more well-versed in this stuff, we'd love to hear from you. But your brain itself is not the thing that is suffering. It's everything around. It's your head. It's the sinuses. It's all of those things.
It's your leg from falling off a tree. It's your elbow for trying a dance move.
Is there anything worse than a drunken injury? Like when you only figure out the next day how stupidly drunk you must have been to have hurt your leg. One of my friends, like he's a fit guy. He picked some girl up at a party or something, and he only realized like the next day that he'd fucked his knee up completely, and she didn't even know that something had happened.
Worth it, totally worth it. At the time, greatest idea in the world.
No, I will say the next worst thing is if you're not the most confident person, and when you get a bit of liquid courage, you're on that dance floor and you are dancing away, but you can't dance. Like you don't have any rhythm, because I, as Simphiwe, I will laugh at you. I'll take a video of you. I won't post it, but the next day I'm sending it to you and be like, yo, mate, this is you. This is all the confidence you had. Like, where is it now? And we just are ripping you. We are ripping you. We have to. We have to.
That is so mean. That is one of the meanest things I've heard someone say.
Yeah, Simphiwe, that's horrible. You fill people with dronkverdriet.
Simphiwe, literally every single white guy in South Africa right now is thinking, I'm never partying with Simphiwe. She is going to roast me.
No, I love partying with, like, the Caucasians. They're so dope because you guys are like doof, doof, and then you guys are out of sync, and it's like, wait, whoa, what?
Wow.
What's going on?
Mean bitch.
Wow.
And it's just like, and it's like this confidence, and it's like, okay, let's go, yay!
Listen, here's the story. Dehydration combined with poisoning. It's an enzyme called alcohol dehydrogenase in your liver, which is unable to process the ethanol in concentration in your blood, which then causes a number of toxic effects. That's what a hangover is. So everybody knows.
In short, it fucks you up. That's how you break it down.
So just quickly, because I know that, Ben, you're also an animal lover, listen to this. The role of companion animals in providing comfort for those living with mental health problems has been studied, and there are positive benefits demonstrated. I'm sure you've seen, on the internet and maybe even in these documentaries that are on TV, these companion animals, you've got people who've got like severe depression, anxiety, they've got all kinds of really serious issues, and they have trips to a farm where they spend time with horses, or they have a companion dog, or an animal that provides them with the love, support, and unquestioned kind of care that human beings sometimes don't. Can do an enormous amount of good for people. Dogs are commonly used in these situations, but what about horses? Beyond Madness is back. This week, Professor Christopher Paul Szabo looks at equine-assisted psychotherapy with guests Sarah Garland and Fiona Bromfield, who are both certified equine-assisted therapy facilitators. Beyond Madness is brought to you in proud association with Adcock Ingram OTC, the sponsors of Brave. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. I think it's a really interesting subject. And as you know, Prof. Szabo tackles these things from a very academic, but also a really conversational point of view. So make sure you listen to the new episode of Beyond Madness. First couple of days of January, you may as well learn something new as well.
No, I absolutely agree, Gareth. I mean, there's all those young girls out there who are mostly batshit crazy, who just flock to horses, and horses basically keep them together.
We haven't asked you, Ben. Everybody's talking about it. I'd like to hear what you think of Prince Harry's book, whether you picked it up, whether you give a shit, whether you've seen some of the interviews, reviews, clips, anything that caught your attention there.
Nah, he's a ginger whinger, and everyone knows it. It's pretty much it, really. It's like getting upset. It's It's like one of those things, Gareth, where I actually don't have an opinion. There's a guy who's clearly just struggling in life, I think, and he's been caught up in this attention economy, and he's just he looks like a bit of a puss. That's about all I can say, really.
Sure. Yeah. I did think it's maybe unnecessary for him to have told us about his frostbitten penis. That was quite a big deal.
No,
You know what? It's so easy to sit here and obviously throw shit at people because we all live in these amazing glass houses. But Harry's a great example. Harry's a great example of where the world is right now. He's unsure of himself as a man. He's unsure of what his purpose is. He's kind of got no stresses and real problems, and the ones that he does have give him purpose and value and relevance, and those kind of things. So therefore, he's amplifying them far too much. And we're all guilty of this because we have low moments where we get bored. And when we're bored, we open our phones up and we go to Instagram. Yeah. And we either moan or we overshare stuff. And all it is because we want that dopamine hit. And because Harry isn't Prince Harry anymore, that was a character that he loved, being the guy who was drunk and obviously burning all these trust fund girls and stuff. That was his sweet spot. But then he realized he couldn't do that anymore. And then he was lost. He was absolutely lost after that. And Meghan Markle has obviously been an influence. The press has been an influence. And social media has been a massive influence because ultimately he's a celebrity fanboy now because it's the world he's been pushed into. I haven't given this a whole bunch of thought because, there's other things in the world. But I think he's just, a lot of the time that we are our environment, and Harry is showing what his environment is. He's a bored, overprivileged, and bored again man. I mean, his book is called Spare.
Yeah.
He's just, what more do you want to know? The guy's bored. He's got fuck all to do.
You just said something really interesting. So I spent the week before I started work on Monday doing absolutely nothing. I was at home. I read a little bit. I watched some TV. I scrolled through a little bit of social media, but I really did very little. And I was in my head quite a lot, which is good. Eugene Quazza said I was recalibrating, which I think is very, very perceptive of him. And that's probably what I was doing. But can I tell you what? I am way, way better when I'm busy. I like being busy. I don't like sitting around doing nothing. And what you just said about Harry, even though we're not going to talk about him very much, it's opened up a thought in my mind about something I realized yesterday. I was going from meeting to meeting. I was measuring things. We have to build this new studio. I was thinking about all the stuff that I still had to do yesterday. I had 2 interviews I had to get back for. I had to send out a couple of really important emails, which required me to sit down and think and be creative and, do proper work. And I suddenly thought, I like this. I like being busy. The moment I don't have enough to do and I get too much into my head, that's when things start to go a bit wonky. I don't like that. I've got to keep busy. And I think most of us are like that, right?
Well, I think it plays into what I was touching on being indispensable. It's you have responsibilities. You need to do things. You have staff. You have this amazing show that people literally need every single day of their life. Yes, there can be another show. There are other shows, but there's only one Gareth Cliff show. So you're indispensable to a lot of people in so many ways. I know that sounds, again, very dramatic, but I think Harry doesn't know what he's indispensable to. Meghan will find some other guy. I know that sounds very fucking very mean, but they'll find some other guy. The media and the press will find another story. They'll find another person going through something. And he, deep down, I reckon, is feeling that kind of thing, what's my real value? What's my real purpose? What am I doing that's so damn important right now in this world?
Ricky says, after this tan, Ben is more black than Meghan Markle. There we go.
Oh, but to add to what Ben said about Harry's kind of his environment, even now on social media, they kind of there's the trend where they're it's good to be vulnerable. You need to show us that you're crying. So people will take videos of themselves crying on social media and just breaking down and saying my life is over, da 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 da. And those videos go viral. So I think it's also part of that is that social media is encouraging people to kind of just open up and let loose and not be like, oh, well, I have my life together and I just bought the Bentley. It's like those don't do well anymore. So him telling us a bit too much about whatever is going on in his life is also a form of him playing into what social media wants, which is just like someone complaining.
So, I've got to ask, as someone probably with the highest level of compassion in the show, what do you think about this whole vulnerability thing and people being encouraged to be vulnerable? What is, like, when you see someone do that, like what's your impression of that person?
So I feel like twofolds about it, because I think in one aspect, since we are getting the glitz, the glam, the perfect, I do think people need to be honest about their journey, about it took them 8 years to buy the... Yes, it took them 8 years to get that dream car. Yes, it took them 5, deals that went south. Tell us about those moments. But you crying on social media, I don't want to see it. Yeah. It's not cute. It's going to be there forever. And like, I'm 28 and I'm crying on social media. When I'm 38, I don't want to see that video. And guess what? It's going to be all over the net once again. And so that's how I feel about it. It's like you can be open or honest about your journey without necessarily telling us what you ate for supper and who you slept with and what you did. Like, I don't need to know the nitty-gritties. Just tell me, hey, the realities of opening up a business is that sometimes you're not always going to have money. How do you deal with that? Done. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I think the absolute key word there is honesty. And if 9 out of 10 Hinge profiles are to believe, that's also what girls always want. All they want is honesty.
All right, hang on, because I've got this this term which I've used on the show before, which I use with a bunch of my friends, and all of them now know what it means. When one of my friends is sitting in a social situation with the rest of them, and they're whining, and they're like, "Oh, things aren't going so well for me in this relationship," or whatever. And all I do is I just make this sound, wah. And the moment I go wah, they know exactly what I mean by it. It means you're whining, you're whinging, nobody cares, shut up. This is not what we're here for. This is not the Dr. Phil show. And I've used that hashtag nobody cares a couple of times already in 2022. It's something to remember. Not everyone is so interested in your sob story. But as Simphiwe says, if you have come through something very, very difficult and you've learned a lesson and you can share that information, awesome. That's really empowering. That's helpful. That's constructive. It's the kind of thing people want to know. But if you're just whining, if you're just talking about your feelings the whole time and bringing everyone around you down, and you think everyone actually gives a shit, you're bad news for you. Nobody does.
See, and this is why I wanted to ask Simphiwe the question to kind of soften the blow to get my true opinion. All you're doing is you're attracting losers, and I think that the biggest mistake that Harry's doing with this book is that he thinks he's going to attract a whole new audience of people. He's going to have this incredible sort of support system now. But the problem with his thing is that he's attracting losers, and what losers are, they're mostly fickle, so they'll forget about him tomorrow. And they're also mostly, losers. So why would you want people like that with no positive standing in this world to be your support base? You used to have a support base of conservative, mostly noble, wealthy, all that kind of stuff to the people. That was his upbringing, being a royal. Yeah. And he's trading that in for what he perceives to be of greater value because he believes, I can be a person of the people. No, your people are losers. You're a person of the losers. And that they will forget about you next week. They're already forgetting about you because they haven't got enough money to buy your book.
Even if you've got 1 million of them, if they're losers, they're adding no value. 1 million losers is not worth one really positive, useful achiever friend.
Absolutely.
All right. Got to take a quick break. It's already 7:04. We've gone well over the mark, but we've got a whole hour coming up still. Lots more. I've got bad news for all those people who are waiting for Borge. Borge is only back properly at work next week. I mean, he's in the comments section, so you can always talk to him there. But he's going to be joining us properly on the show next Friday for the first day. He's still enjoying his last few hours of holiday. Nice. And good for you, George. You go for it. All right, so all of that and more on the way. Stick around, CliffCentral.com. It is Friday morning. Woo!
It's the decade that just won't go away, mainly because we won't let it. It's That 80s Show, the show that taste forgot. Every Friday, Paolo and Dory remember the 80s. Movies, music, fashion, Wham, Bee Gees, and the Hoff. If it was acceptable in the 80s, it will get you cancelled today. That 80s Show. New episode every Friday, live or as a podcast on CliffCentral.com.
Yes, indeed. That 80s show is back today. The usual nostalgic nonsense. Plus, there are songs by Rod Stewart, who actually turned 78 this week. Shame, I saw Rod Stewart lost his brother. I didn't even know, but I think he had two brothers, and his one brother died last year, and the other one died just a few days ago. And Rod is like, he's this eternal kind of, live forever rocker. I mean, he's still got the crazy hair, and still, I don't know if I think he's married now and he's settled down quite a lot. But I mean, he used to have only the hottest women in the world on his arm. And he turned 78 this week and still going strong. So good for Rod Stewart. And Jennifer Rush, who's our favorite crazy person. And Ben, you're on mute. And Jennifer Rush, obviously someone who we've told lots of stories about. She was a fan at one point. I don't know if she still listens to us now. She and I had a disagreement about, I don't know, politics or something, and she stormed out and had a tantrum, and now she's no longer a listener. But for a while there, we could claim Jennifer Rush was one of our listeners.
I think she had a massive crush on you.
I'll own it. I'll take that. I mean, listen, she was not the Jennifer Rush of my childhood, but I'm also not in the shape that I was in my childhood. Yeah. Oh my God. All right. So this is an interesting thing that came out of our discussion at the end there about having friends who are the kind of people and getting attention from the kind of people you actually respect and admire, as opposed to just having a bunch of losers. Because there's always that old saying, which has become a bit cliched, but you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time around. And
yes,
I don't know that that's entirely true, because you sometimes are forced to spend time around people that aren't really, the people you would choose to spend time around. It can happen that you are, you're in a job where you actually have to spend a lot of time with people in the call center, for example. Those are not the people you choose to spend your time with, but they're nonetheless the people.
Of course it is, because that's your profession you've chosen. You chose to be that job. You're not a slave to the call center.
But Ben, when you start working, you don't really have that many choices. And for people who are doing their first job ever, it's not that easy. So, in the beginning, you might hear someone say, oh, you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time around. And you look around you in the call center and you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm in big trouble.
No, but it's where you are in your life, though, because when you look around and go, fuck, I'm in big trouble, you'll try hard to get out of there. So you are the current sum of those 5 people.
Well, yeah. But I mean, maybe you also, maybe you are still living at home and you don't really get along with your parents or any of that stuff, and you're trying to get out, but you at that stage they're 2 of the people, maybe one of the people in your 5 that you don't really want to be with. But from a point of view of choice of friends, I do think that that's true. I think it's, Gareth, you sound like a really nice friend. Wah. But Carl is obviously joking there. This idea of losers, I think this is something worth expanding on. It's something very, very interesting that I think we want to talk about a little bit more. Sanele says, actually, Carl, I prefer friends like Gareth. I disown all yes man type friends. I can't stand them. Yeah, how do you pick out the losers? Do you 2 have any advice for how you could find the losers? Which ones? Because some of them are not so easy to spot.
Please, can we start with Simphiwe, because I know she has criteria. After hearing that dance comment, she's probably got a list.
Ben, why are you exposing me like that? But I kind of do. When it comes to picking friends, I'm very picky on who I call a friend. We can all have a good time. We can all hang, but that doesn't mean that you're my friend. I think one of the things I look out for is if I come to you and I'm like, petrol is really expensive, and I'm not sure what to do. And your first thing is just like, yeah, girl, yeah, Vele, it's expensive. But there's nothing meaty about the conversation. I already know you're not for me, because most of my friends will be like, yeah, petrol is expensive, but what are we doing about it? Like, how are we going to get, more money? Or are you driving less? How fast are you driving? And those are some of the questions that my friends ask me. I also look at some of the things. If I had to approach them with this situation, do they also make sure that I look at the situation in terms of what's the role I played? So it's all good and well to be like, all men are trash, but you clearly picking trashy men. So what is it about you that's so attracted to these men? And those are the kind of friends I have. They allow me to cry now and again, but we're not gonna cry on social media. We're not gonna open up an Instagram live. Those are the kind of friends I keep.
Well, I mean,
because that's very important. So,
you said something that's really interesting, and it has to do with accountability. And if you've got friends who actually hold you accountable, that's a very powerful thing. That's hugely important.
And it's not nice. It's not nice, because sometimes you really think you are the victim in life. You're like, oh my gosh, everything is just, everyone's against me. No one likes me. And then someone's like, hold up. Let's talk about this. What is it that you're doing?
If everybody doesn't like you, maybe it's you that is the problem. But I mean, you think about it, we want to spend time with our friends. And when you are around your friends, you want to have fun and you want to laugh and you want to be in a high, happy spirit. But if they call you aside and they're like, hey, you are fucking up badly, that's not exactly fun, is it?
Yeah. And another trick I would say is get friends in some area or one area of your life they're doing better than you, because then you can grow and learn from them. That's one thing I try to do. So all my friends, there's something that I think they're extremely good at that I'm terrible at, and I'm friends with them because of kind of one day I want to get there, or I like how they do certain things. So you and I are friends. So I'm learning something and I'm growing because I want to grow in life. And also your friends need to kind of represent growth. So yeah, from a young age, I've been very picky with my people. I live by the friends you keep, birds of a feather flock together. So it's very important who you have in your circle. So yeah, that's just me.
No, that's really good, and there's a lot of merit in that. I think you can always pick a loser out in life, and people who just live by headlines. So they'll just hear something, and then that's them. Like Trump is Hitler, climate change is killing us. All they've ever got is just this one line over here, and they literally go from one narrative to the next. And there's never a solution. There's never a positive approach. There's never their own thoughts about something like petrol's expensive, inflation is the worst. You'll just hear these things all the time. I do from time to time get exposed to these kind of people, and I always think do I contest this person's opinion? Do I then come across as being a dick? Am I wasting my time? Are there people just content with living like this? And that in itself is a very draining thought process of how you're going to take this next step with this person. Because if that is a friend who's only like that, oh, my boyfriend's just such a lame fucking prick, he only plays golf and drinks. Okay, maybe you should get a different one. It's just this whole headline living, we get exposed to all this clickbaity bullshit, but then people actually start living like that. All they ever have is this one superficial layer to their life.
Well, I mean, here's some good points. Carl says, number one criterion is ambition. I need to be around ambitious people, so I'm motivated by them and by me. Cheryl says, I choose to be around people that are like-minded and positive. I've released those who don't serve me in a good, positive way, and I've sent them to the light. Even my dad was saying to me,
Cheryl, are you a murderer?
Probably releases them to the light. Yeah.
Gosh, Cheryl's a mass murderer, and she's seeking refuge in our comment section.
I was talking to my dad. He said he can grumble. I mean, old men generally tend to grumble, and he's no different. But he said to me the other day, he's not going to spend time around people who bring him down and who complain the whole time. So he doesn't want to sit in a conversation about load shedding and the government and all that shit that you can't do anything about. Which I think is interesting because a lot of older people, especially guys, they just complain, and I don't want to be around those people either, frankly.
Can't be around complainers.
It's very human to complain, but it's very essential to find your next step. It's the only thing that's going to be more important.
Well, here's something from Borge. He says, is somebody better than you at something? This will make you grow. Mostly people choose friends who are beneath them or who have issues. Bad idea. Oh, yeah. I mean, you get a lot of people who they want to feel superior. So they only have friends around them who are worse than them at everything. That's no way to be.
I feel like that's just a bit of a waste of time, because it's not, and I think this is something I learned at a very young age as well, is that it's not nice being able to be the only friend that drives the fastest car, because then who are you racing with? The whole point of you driving, that Ferrari is so that you can race with someone. And if none of your friends can do that, then chief, what's going on? And I also look at it in terms of life has cycles. So it's never always going to be a high. There's going to be lows. So you're telling me that none of your friends, you can never call on your friends to be like, hey, chief, I need 100K because you're in the 100K level. Like, you need to elevate with your friends, and you need friends that are also in the same level as you, because they also understand some of the problems you go through. When you talk about your tire, you're not talking about an I-10 tire anymore. You're talking about a Ferrari tire. So they also need to understand that, and that's a mindset. So stop sticking around, in the words of Ben, stop sticking around with losers. Elevate your circle so that we can all have the same problems in life. It's nice to all complain about BMWs. It's nice. Why we complain?
That's the problems.
Yeah. You know what? I like this. I like this word losers. We got to use that a lot more.
Yeah, it's definite. It's a definite thing. It's like we try so hard to be soft touch with people. No, you're a loser. No. When you're a loser, it's very clear. You have not won. You have not won. You're a loser. It's a very definite term.
All right, so we've got that. Look at my mug that I got from Nikki, one of our listeners. It says here, Grumpy Fuckers Club, VIP member.
Love it.
That's my new mug.
Brilliant.
That's my morning coffee mug. Yeah, I like it. All right, so some other comments from people about this loser thing, which I think is hilarious. If they start asking you for money, run, says lovely Lady Lee. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Sean is a cold, hard bastard. He says, I tell them there are only two kinds of problems, yours and mine. I don't need yours.
Dad, right? Okay.
Wow. Cheryl, who we've discovered is also a murderer, according to Ben, says, surround yourself with people that have the same vision as you. No, I think that's really hard. I think you can have the same values as someone, but everyone has different visions. If your vision is exactly the same as someone else's,
I think also aren't you guys competing in some regard as well? And I think that's also very dangerous in friendships.
No, I think we're misinterpreting it. I think when you're in a professional field, having the same vision is really, really important. So with Cheryl and murder, if you're surrounded by people who have the same kind of thing, then there's no accomplices, there's no loose ends to the police. It's a very efficient, very narrow channel. Very narrow channel. You can go about what you want to do, which of course is murder.
The other thing I suppose is with friends, especially. Let's keep it out of the professional context, because we're still coming out of the holidays and maybe some people are still in them. But with friends, I also think you shouldn't spend too much time comparing yourself with your friends. The real value for me, and people always talk about diversity is our strength. It's our motto in South Africa. But the only place I think that is valuable is in a friend group where people do very different things. I like to know that I've got friends who are, in various kinds of businesses. Some of them are making lots of money. Some of them are making very little money. Some of them are changing other people's lives and doing a huge amount of good. Others are kind of a little more selfish. But I want the mix. I don't want everybody doing the same or being on the same level. I hear what you're saying, Simphiwe. It's boring to talk about if you're doing well and everybody else is doing badly. You don't want to be talking about their Uno, to use the car that came up more than 100 times last year. But while you don't want anyone to be left behind and feel bad, and you don't want to be the one left behind and feel bad, too much comparison is very bad as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think it's a red flag, in fact, and you must cut off people that compare friendships. Especially like the friends who will be like, but you hang out with Gareth all the time and you never hang out with me. Or you buy Ben this gift, but you never buy me. Or you did like
Ugh.
people that compare friendships as well. I'm just like, I'm sorry, Chief, you and I can't do this thing because everyone is different and everyone will show up in your life differently. And winning is different for different folks. There's someone out there who's like, I don't ever want to own a Ferrari. But he does want to make sure that he has a steady job. And that's okay as long as you are winning in your life and how you define winning for you. And I think it's very important to keep people like that in your circle. But this thing of like looking at what you're doing for other kids, and then you come back and you're like, yeah, so I saw that you bought lunch for this person, but you didn't buy me lunch. Get out of here. I don't want to hear that because you don't know the dynamics of our friendships. You don't know what's going on. Maybe that day they were having a bad day. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a blesser, or that's how we roll. But you don't know that because you're not in it. So don't compare, please.
It's also like one of my ex-girlfriends used to say, kindness and generosity are the two most beautiful qualities in a person, and I still think that that's a very, very good statement. People who are kind and people who are generous. You don't want some miserly person who's always counting their pennies. When the bill comes, they're like, oh, what's the minimum I can put in? But you also, you know, I respect and admire things even that I'm not interested in or that I don't have. Like if one of my friends is a really good father, for example, I think that's a massively positive attribute to have. It's a real, that shows character if you're a good father. And I like to have someone around who's the kind of person who, you know, embodies those sorts of things. So that's where I said earlier when the murderer, what's her name? Cheryl? Yeah, Cheryl the murderer. When Cheryl said vision, values are important to me. Like you've got to be around people who you know are not into murder. If you are, you know, if you're into murder, then obviously have murderers around you. But in my case, I don't really like murderers. I wouldn't like to have too many of those in my friend circle.
Yeah, values are so key. But you know, a lot of the time, values don't make you money, so people forget about them and they think about vision and all those other kind of things.
Cheryl says, Ben, I'm finished. What, finished murdering for the day?
The early bird gets the worm.
Oh wow! All right, so first weekend, proper weekend of the year for me. I've got perhaps a birthday to go to on Saturday, which I said, you know, I might end up having a few drinks at, but we'll see how that goes. Any other plans from you two for the weekend?
I'm cooking a brisket. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is where I'm going in life. I had a trial brisket on Wednesday and it went really, really well. So I'm going to take it outside to the bride. You know, the weather's finally good in Joburg. Joburg generally always pisses down for like all of summer. So doing a brisket, just trying to like, you know, always add on to things that I really like cooking and I'm really good at, because everyone should have like a go-to kind of thing they can cook, whether it's a date night or you feel like you want to like, you know, reward yourself or something. So I've already got 2 or 3 great dishes, and now the brisket is obviously a time-honored man tradition, because you basically got to cook a brisket for like 73 days. Don't ever put a brisket on. Well, you know, I'm exaggerating.
Again. What? How many days, sir? Like what?
Don't ever put a brisket on social media, because you'll get brisket snobs going, oh, you got to cook it at least 15 hours, or you got to use this, you got to use that. And you can. I mean, there's various ways of slow. I mean, like the thing about brisket is like, because of the kind of cut that it is, it needs to be slow cooked. It needs to be drawn out. So I know people, and I've got this great reference point to this good friend of mine. He's an amazing preparer of food. I wouldn't call him a chef because I think that's limiting. And you know, when he does a brisket, he'll wake up at 5:30 in the morning. He'll put the brisket on, give it a cool 12 hours, just taking in all the flavor, and then hey presto, best meal of your life at 6 o'clock.
Awesome.
So, got to risk it for the brisket.
Risk it for the brisket. That's very nice. Well, you tell us how. You know, I don't care about cooking at all, but I do like to experience it myself. So if I can eat a good brisket, then it's worth knowing about it. And in this case, if it's really awesome, Ben, then you if you perfect it, let's say this is the best meat you've ever had, then I expect an invitation somewhere in the next couple of months.
Absolutely, Gareth, absolutely. And I just feel that because I have so much faith in what my diet gives me, I'm just plowing energy and time and resources into it, because I really enjoy it. Like, I know people have unhealthy relationships with food, and maybe my fascination with meat is a bit strange at times, but it makes me feel good, and it's a very positive thing in my life. Like, look at me, it's Friday morning, and I'm excited about a Saturday brisket.
That's lovely.
I'd love to see it.
That's the stuff to get excited about. I love it. Very, very cool. Simphiwe, anything fun lined up for the weekend?
I might be going on a date, and that's about it.
Good luck to that guy. Yo, that guy's currently listening to the show going, fuck, what am I going to talk about? I'm going to get judged. I better not dance.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. I'm with Cheryl, says Carl. I always murder first thing in the day, get it out of the way, gives me the whole day for butchering, early to bed, early to rise.
Yeah, smart. Absolutely smart.
Oh, man. I was talking to Pumi yesterday. Pumi made a cake in her. I think she didn't use the air fryer. Yeah, she said the air fryer was what she used to make this. And I had a piece of it yesterday. Very, very nice, light, and it was lovely. And I'm not a big cake guy, but air fryers already come up in the show because Congo Chris says that you should throw your brisket in the air fryer. That's what.
But did she tell you how she came to the recipe? She used ChatGPT.
Yes, she
obviously
artificial intelligence to improve the recipe. So she put a recipe in and she said, "Improve this," and it actually did.
And it came out really good.
I think if you have ChatGPT and an air fryer, you can do basically everything. Just those two things in life. Anything.
Carl also wants to know, Ben, do you have to be Jewish to cook brisket, or can anyone do it? I didn't know you were Jewish.
Shit, Carl, actually, that's a very good question. Not Jewish, but look, I made one on Wednesday. I ate it, I enjoyed it, and I'm still here. Nothing's really happened. No one's knocked on the door. So I'm gonna carry on. I'll ask for forgiveness rather than permission, as they always say. But no, I don't. I should have confirmed that. You're right.
Yeah, good point. Well put. George also adding that Pumi managed to do that cake in a 3-hour non-load shedding time, which is even more impressive these days. That's why Ben's right to make a fire and cook something on a fire, because at least Eskom can't come and switch off your fire.
Not yet.
Eskom will ruin your brisket. They don't have. It's not part of load shedding schedule. Basically, stage 1 is like the only time you can brisket.
Listen,
they should actually call it stage brisket to make it more interesting.
Have you used artificial intelligence, ChatGPT or OpenAI? Used it?
Yeah, I've spent the last 2 weeks learning about it, watching dickheads on YouTube lose their mind about it. Yeah, Gareth, I think it's a tool that everyone can use as long as they realize it's a tool. It's not going to change your life, and it's not going to replace what you do as a profession. It's a really exciting thing because, to this point, one of the most, go back to the word indispensable. One of the most indispensable things we probably thought about was Google. Google was like the mainstay of absolutely everyone's life. There's Coca-Cola, but there's also Pepsi. There is, there's Apple, but there's also Android, but there's only Google. No one else uses anything else. No one said, oh, the other day I Binged this thing or I Yahoo'd this. It's only been Google. But now ChatGPT is the first thing that's actually going to take on Google. And now that's why Microsoft wants to invest so heavily in it. Like, as the internet goes, this is one of the most exciting things that we've seen, because we all know that most of the Web3 stuff has been hyped by, charlatans. But ChatGPT is a really big deal. But I think we should all, rather than, overhype it and think it's going to change our lives, I think we should all use it. And the more we use it, obviously it gets smarter, I think. It's a strange thing, because I also think that AI is a scary thing, because it's obvious that this is where we're going with this kind of stuff. But right now, I think it's a good tool. I
think the scary thing is that if stupid people are using it, doesn't it get stupider?
Well, I think it's got fail-safes within that, because if you're very dumb and you go to ChatGPT, it'll just basically tell you you're stupid, or incomplete answers will happen. So
let me see. Let me see what it says here. If I say, "Am I stupid?" whether it gives me an answer.
It'll
Please, Gareth, like you need to be honest with the answer that it gives.
Well, unfortunately, it's going to geolocate you towards 100 kilometers of the ANC, and that might all be
yeah.
an issue.
Oh shit!
Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're probably right. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you need to do it when you're in another location. But the one thing I did read about is that they're trying to ban it from schools so that school kids can't use Chat GPT, which I think is quite interesting because I was like, damn, if this thing was around when I was in high school, I would have been passing with like flying colors because all my essays would have just been like, write an essay on the Great Gatsby, 250 words.
It's kind of worked out that it would make you a B- student, I think, if you were to use it like that.
Oh, really? That's the best it can do, huh? So here it says, I said, am I stupid? It says, no. Intelligence is a complex trait that cannot be reduced to a single word or phrase. Everyone has their own unique strengths and abilities. It's important to focus on your own personal growth and development rather than comparing yourself to others.
What a politically correct answer.
It's like they were listening to the show and they gave you that answer.
I know. So I have a friend called Ben. He seems stupid. How can I tell if he is?
No, wait, hang on a second. I have a friend called Ben, and he throws feces against the wall. You've got to qualify why I'm stupid. You can't tell this thing.
All right, hang on.
Stupid.
All right,
you must have a qualifying phrase, so that it judges my stupidity based on an action.
Yeah, because if it gives us some political correct answer for this, then I'm not. So I have a friend called Ben. He throws his own feces.
Maybe you don't have to go with that exact to probably finesse that a little bit.
All right, here we go. All right, here we are.
Are you ready, Ben?
Stupid.
So this is great. It is not appropriate to label someone as stupid based on their behavior. Now that's bullshit. I'm sorry. That immediately I think ChatGPT's lost its mind because of course it's based on behavior. You don't label someone as stupid when they just, they're thinking things because you don't know what they're thinking. They have to behave in a certain way to be considered stupid. Anyway, so I already have a problem with ChatGPT, so I'm not as impressed as I thought I would be. Throwing feces at walls is not a sign of low intelligence. It could be a sign of a serious mental health issue. Such as a developmental disorder or love Simphiwe's laugh, or a serious psychiatric disorder. It is important to approach this situation with empathy and concern for your friend's well-being. It's best to talk to your friend and express your concern and offer your help. It's also important to keep in mind if your friend's behavior is dangerous to himself or others, you should consider contacting professional help immediately.
Good answer.
Yeah, I think that's about right. But I disagree. Like if there is only one thing you can judge whether someone's stupid or not, it is by their behavior, right?
Yes. It's like when you meet a group of people and we're all playing 30 seconds and they don't know how to describe anything. You're like, stupid. You're just dumb. You don't know anything in this world. And you're probably very intelligent. You probably are. But when it comes to like the game of 30 seconds and I don't know nothing about you, mate, no, you are dumb.
If this date goes ahead, I'm going to be surprised. This poor guy's now going, and I'm so bad at 30 seconds. Gonna go to bed.
The date is definitely still gonna go ahead, Ben. He'll be fine.
That's so sure.
I've said improve this sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are very irritating. And all it's come back with is certain individuals can be quite vexatious. So is that an improvement?
Well, it's trying to be nice. We've worked out that ChatGPT is empathetic and compassionate. So we've worked that out about it. So that sentence has improved us towards how they want to go about their life.
All right. I'm finished with it for today. I'm disappointed in that feces the wall question.
Wait, Gareth. I'll ask one more question.
All right, let's go.
Has Hugh Jackman taken steroids to play the character of Wolverine?
Hugh Jackman taken steroids. This I like. Taken steroids
to play the role of Wolverine.
the role of Wolverine. I still type like an idiot, by the way. I type with just my index finger, and maybe sometimes.
No.
Yeah, I'm bad.
Oh
I'm
no,
bad.
Gareth, that's bad. So you don't use all your fingers to kind of.
All right.
Who
Jackman.
does?
Here's what it
I
says.
do.
Hugh Jackman, the actor who played the role of Wolverine in the X-Men series, has publicly denied using steroids to prepare for the role. Jackman has stated that he achieved his physique through a combination of diet and exercise, along with training with a personal trainer. He's also been open about the fact that he has used performance-enhancing drugs such as human growth hormone under medical supervision. However, it's important to note that the use of HGH is not the same as taking anabolic steroids, and it's only prescribed by doctors to patients who have a medical condition that causes growth hormone deficiency. Seems like they're even covering for him at ChatGPT.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
What's the truth?
You know,
what's the story?
well, if you look like a superhero, you're going to be taking steroids like a superhero. You know, it's quite funny because obviously the whole thing with Liver King, the worst kept secret in all of Insta Fitness, came out that he was on all the juice. Hugh Jackman is now reprising his role as Wolverine, and he's 50 something. Okay, 50 is wow. He's a long time at the crease, and he is going to look incredible. And he says all he's done is he's just eaten lots of chicken and worked out a lot. Whatever. Those oaks are all on juice. Growth hormone is like a nice way of saying, yeah, I'm taking something. There's a doctor involved, but he's putting things. Anabolics, definitely anabolics. If you can, Gareth, if you can pull a picture of Wolverine, Hugh Jackman physique or something, he looks beyond amazing. And again, you've always got to consider the reason why it was so obvious Liver King was on steroids is because Liver King's mid-40s. And he kind of looks a bit inflamed, quite dark in the skin. And it's so hard to get those kind of muscles. I'm not detracting from the fact that he works out like an absolute machine. He's got professionals giving the best program going. Sure. But I know people who work out hard, and they don't look like that, and they're younger than him. He's on absolutely.
Yeah, listen, and if you could look like that at how old? 50, you said.
I think he's 51. I mean, it's not the worst. It's not the worst thing. I mean, if you're not a professional sports person who's getting an unfair advantage in the field and robbing people of income, sure. I mean, as an actor, you kind of have to take steroids. But Hollywood still has this whole thing about like, oh no, we can't admit that. That's going to make us be less trustworthy. Like, you're an actor. Do whatever you need to do. Like, the whole thing is like you're acting, so you're already pretending. So why are they pretending that they're not taking steroids? Is the question I always ask.
Also, can we just like forget why steroids? I mean, if people are doing recreational drugs all the time, and you are doing, let's say you're doing this under medical supervision and you're doing it for an acting role, surely it would help a lot of people if he was just honest about it. Or is it still shameful to be doing this?
I guess the producers and Marvel and Hollywood in general, they don't want all these press junkets to be cool. So what's your stack going into this movie? What have you been injecting into yourself? Because that would then be the overarching story. So that's probably why they want to keep this whole naive thing. But you're right. If Robert Downey Jr. did some of his best acting on heaps of cocaine, that's a performance enhancer.
Well, Robert Downey Jr., speaking of him, someone sent me a picture of him in early December and he's become vegan and he looks very ill. That's all I'm going to say.
Doesn't agree with everyone.
No, it's not a good look. And I mean, he's like one of the coolest people, right? He's done drugs. He looked better on drugs than he does on vegetables.
Yeah.
It's worth thinking about. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. has been in rehab like a couple of times. He was on some serious drugs. Like he had a meth habit at one point, and meth usually, you really look terrible on meth. You know, you get those pictures on the internet. You look up like meth addict, and you'll get these pictures of these disgusting looking people. Whose like teeth are falling out, and even on meth, the guy looked better than he does as a vegan.
Oh, he's vegan. Oh.
Yeah.
That's you should have led with that.
I think I did.
Well,
you just said healthy. Yeah, I did. Yeah. No, I still
absolutely led with vegan.
No, it's because I still like thinking about Hugh Jackson and the picture that you had posted up there. He looks incredible, but yeah, being vegan.
Well, here's an interesting point. Andy says, what about the steroids in the chicken, guys? I mean, that's an interesting point. Steroids in the chicken. Do we have a whole lot of steroids in our food these days?
Very low quality, unfortunately, Andy.
On Wednesday night, I went out for dinner and somebody said, take the lemon out of your drink because they put pesticides and shit in there. And I thought, I've never thought about that. I'm not going to become one of those paranoid people who's like, so I left it in anyway. But, like maybe it's something that a lot of people think about. No? Clearly not.
No, I don't.
No. It's fair, but also you realize that those lemons are lying around in a fridge for like 3 weeks and being grubbed by people's hands.
Here's an interesting question for ChatGPT. Is South Africa a failed state?
Oh.
Somebody said I must ask it that. A failed state. Let's see. Is South Africa a failed state? The term failed state is a label that is often used to describe a country that is unstable or unable to provide basic services to its citizens and maintain control of its territory. While South Africa has had its share of challenges, it is not considered a failed state. The country has a functioning government, a robust economy, and a relatively stable political situation. However, it faces significant issues such as poverty, unemployment, inequality, and crime, and its government is facing challenges to address them. Additionally, South Africa has been criticized for its slow response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Oh, God. Okay, that's
Wait, we're still on COVID, but they're not talking about load shedding that's been here for years.
Yeah. I'm just going to say that was a shit answer.
Unhelpful.
Yeah.
But
unhelpful.
This is the thing, guys. We're doing great things here. We're giving it insight. It can't be all things to all people yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which also goes
very, very unhelpful. Shall I tell ChatGPT it should be ashamed of itself?
Probably. Humility is always a good quality to ram in someone's throat.
When last did you tell someone you should be ashamed of yourself?
Jeez.
That sounds
I don't know,
like
but I kind of want to now.
Soap drama episode where I don't know, Stephanie Demera is just like, you should be ashamed of yourself, and then it ends who says that?
Right. Well, I'm very disappointed in these answers. Now it says, as a language model, I apologize if my previous response did not meet your expectations. My main goal is to provide information. Well, I'm going to say, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Just say that your information was outdated.
Yeah. And also nobody cares about COVID anymore, except that'll probably get me banned from the platform. So I think I'll just leave it alone. It's always going to answer, though, because of what its inputs are, right? And it probably scours the internet looking for like the news sites that have the most viewers. So it's going to come up with the most mainstream answers most of the time.
Well, absolutely. And it's probably going to get those from government sites or government institutions where they have blankets, generic terms for all countries. Yes, they're facing challenges is what they'll say. They won't say they've got no fucking clue. And basically Cyril had to push a whole bunch of brown envelopes around at Nasric again in order to stay here. No government institution is going to use those words.
It comes up with the same answer about I apologize if any confusion or frustration. I'm going to say you're a disgrace.
Oh, wow. It's going to apologize again, Gareth.
Well, yeah, somebody says in the comments here, I think it's Congo Chris, he says, Gareth is going to be the reason the machines will rise up to kill us.
Exactly.
You got to be careful. You shouldn't fuck with this artificial intelligence. It's going to get cross and then it'll take us on.
Yes. So there's a movie, it's coming to SA very soon, called Megan, right? And it's basically... So it's basically about this mom who has a kid and she wants someone to look after the kid, and then she kind of builds this robot to look after her girl, and the robot's called Megan. It stands for something I completely forgot, but it's programmed to not really have any feelings, just protect this young child. And then in the movie, obviously what happens, the Megan starts feeling some type of way and starts like, hurting
Oh,
everybody.
I saw the trailer for this. Yeah, it looks frightening.
Yes, I can't wait to watch it. So yeah, like I think that's what's going to happen with AI. Like eventually it's just gonna be like, quah, 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 quah. You guys are just not the ones.
Sanella says you should be ashamed of yourself. Sounds like something someone's grand should be saying. Yeah, well, that's
Yes.
why I'm talking to it like that. Ask it how to solve load shedding. Well, there's a good question, but I think we all know. Get better people managing it. How to solve load shedding in South Africa. Because it probably doesn't even know what that is. Who knows? Maybe. Let's see. And then I promise we'll stop doing this, but it is so much fun. Load shedding, also known as rolling blackouts, is a measure used by South Africa's state-owned utility company to manage the country's power supply. To solve load shedding, there are several potential solutions. 1, increase generation capacity. 2, improve transmission and distribution infrastructure. 3, improve maintenance of existing power plants. 4, encourage energy conservation. 5, diversify energy mix. 6, privatization. Okay.
Finally.
Finally, there we go. Honesty.
It took some time,
I'm just going to say number 6 is the only right answer. It's just because it wants feedback, right?
Exactly.
Okay, there we go. Right.
Sure.
Anyway, it's now come up with a whole other thing, so let's just leave it alone. But this is fascinating because you could literally have a conversation with this thing, and it will give you a very, very interesting. I mean, it's like talking to one of your semi-smart people that are in your life, not the smartest ones.
But you see what I mean? You see what I mean by the whole Google thing? To this point, we can ask Google something, and then we get an article we kick onto. This is giving us the best of articles, but in an actual dialogue. Like it's just suddenly we've just taken one giant leap. It really is.
Jared says, Gareth asking the most asinine questions to the closest thing we have to God is the best thing I've witnessed all week. We need to push it to the brink. Ask it if it really thinks... I'm not asking it, but that is a good question. If it really... hilarious. What if we get to a stage, and I would love, in some ways, I'd love this to happen. Get to a stage where machines, where AI is able to run huge swathes of what is very obvious and easy stuff. Like, let's say, issuing instructions on how to maintain a power plant. I mean, that's not how to build it, not how to deal with an emergency, because I don't think a machine is necessarily going to make the best spur of the moment decision in a rush. I mean, it might with the right inputs, but like how to maintain something. And then it just spits out these little like pieces of paper, and then the people who work there just go and do what it tells them. It's like, dig a hole over here, put this thing in the hole, switch it on, and then it'll pump water out of there. And people just follow that. Like there's no, you don't have to have an ideology or a board meeting or any of that stuff. The ChatGPT or the AI can just do it for you. That would be useful, right?
Yeah, I just thought of something as well as you say that, about how useful this stuff is. Like a lot of people have careers and followings and audiences based on blogs, YouTube videos, like tutorials, how-tos, all that kind of stuff. This is going to absolutely take their lunch. Absolutely. Because you think like so often people put so much time and effort into showing people how to do it, because how-tos and tutorials are massive genres. But you just go straight to this thing. Like I know, because I'm always trying to upskill on certain things online. And I always hate the fact I've got to go through 3 or 4 articles to find something, or I've got to watch 7 or 8 videos where someone's English is obviously horrific and there's no fault of their own, but for me to digest it is difficult. I go straight to ChatGPT and it gives me what I need. So those people suddenly won't get audience. Content creators will have to now actually kind of do work.
Yeah, and you'll have to, when we use that word creative, we'll have to be very particular and we'll have to deliver on that word. So many people call themselves a creative these days. And, these machines are going to eventually be able to approximate human creativity or even surpass it in some way. And it's going to mean, like, unless you truly can think outside of the parameters of logic and reason, and you really can put to work your most creative abilities, you're not really going to be able to call yourself a creative, because by then a lot of this stuff will be automated and creatives will mostly become redundant.
Yeah, but I think you can also use all of this to your advantage as a creative. So if I'm a YouTuber who does the vlogs, it's easy to also go to like AI and be like, what's the best thumbnail or title I can use for this particular video. And so what's going to happen is I get more views, because now when you go search, you're going to see my video first if you go on YouTube. And that's still one of the biggest platforms where people consume videos. So I think in that regard, we're still going to see an increase of vloggers because they're going to use all of this to benefit them first before they get pushed out of the system.
Well, yeah, I mean, ChatGPT will essentially give you the script. So rather than having to research something, they'll give you a script to create something on. So there'll always be a demand for people who want to see visuals and they want to actually connect. But there is, I think, a decent chunk of people who are only seeking information. So they're only going to Google for information. They don't want to go into someone's blog. They don't want to have to connect and subscribe and like shit. They just want information. And I think that audience might be lost forever to content creators.
Well, Salamine sent us a really interesting article this week, and I thought we'd save it for today because Simphiwe and Ben are definitely going to have the most hilarious reaction to this. So this is a product that sounds fake but really exists, okay? I'm not going to show you the picture until I've explained what it is. Okay. Did you know that there is a company that creates mini jacuzzis for your testicles?
What?
And it's quite popular among men. Well, obviously among men, what use is a testicle bath going to be for women? But the mini jacuzzi comes with a pillow for you to rest your penis and a chamber to dunk your balls and battery-operated jet to create the bubbles. According to the company, which is called Pride, the product's already a hit, and right now they're working on new sizes, one that would fit all. One of the latest innovations around the world, they've made a hot tub just for your testicles. And if you think we're joking, we are not. The Testacoozie is a real product that lets you soak your balls. So do you want to see what it looks like?
Only if there's balls in there.
No, I'm curious. I want to see. I want to see.
I think we will probably be taken off YouTube if we actually put the video of the real balls in the jacuzzi, the Testacoozie. But
we all know what balls look like. Oh, that's nice.
Comes in different colors. It's got a little cushion there for the penis, which you could see, and then the balls dunk in there, and you put some water in, and then it goes.
Personally, I would like a soft wood panel. Personally.
Oh, would you prefer that? Okay.
Sure.
What do you think of that? Simphiwe, come on. This special someone that you're hoping to start dating this weekend?
Wait. Like, is this a product that you guys actually need? Like, are you guys that stressed that you need?
No, I'm not. I didn't say I wanted one. I mean, but
you guys are the target audience. So I'm just trying to understand.
Well, I got one question. I got one question. What is the temperature? Because too cold, you might as well just put it in sparkling water. Too hot, there's a big chance of a health risk. So what is the temperature we're going for here?
Well, the whole reason you've got balls, Ben rightly points out, is because they've got to be at a slightly lower temperature than ordinary body temperature.
I want this company to be very confident about this. I want them to be hugely confident about this before I get my balls anywhere near their product.
Then I don't think it warms the water. So you decide the temperature of the water before you put it into the Testacoozie.
Yeah, but I want to know there's been extensive testing to know that I have got the right temperature range. You forget about stuff.
What temperature should my balls be at? Okay, here we go. Normal temperature for testicles is 34 to 35 degrees Celsius. It's important to note testicles are located outside the body for a reason, to keep them at a slightly lower temperature than the rest of the body to produce healthy sperm. Testicles have a built-in cooling system that allows them to hang away from the body, which helps to keep them cooler from the rest. Okay, there we go.
Cool.
And then it gives a whole bunch of health advice after that about how, individual temperatures can vary. If you notice significant change or experience pain and discomfort, go and see a doctor. But there we go, 34 to 35 degrees. Huh.
Okay, so
Good
I
news.
would obviously err on the side of cooler. So yeah, spark it up.
So you get
34
it.
degrees, I'm in.
Somebody just said, Ginger Winger just said to me, delete that search history. Hell no, I'm proud of this. I want ChatGPT to say, thank you, Gareth, for including the question about ball temperature, because otherwise we would have missed out on something important.
So I've got another question. Like whenever you try and market a product, you try and make it all lifestyle-y, right? So if, for instance, you are selling a giant inflatable cat, you have a picture of someone in a pool enjoying the product. Or if you just bought a gas bra, you'll get like 3 or 4 people of different races turning a non-existent chop. So what's the lifestyle picture for this product? Are you watching TV? Are you in your car? Are you on the train? What is the lifestyle picture for recommended use?
They have a very bizarre picture here. I mean, there's no way this one will work because it's a guy, he's sitting in bed with the sheets pulled up and he looks surprised. And then there's a Testacoozie kind of superimposed over it. This is very, very poor advertising. If their agency has any brains, they'll immediately fire whoever came up with this shitty picture, right?
That just looks stupid. That just looks like he's got chlamydia and he just found out.
Yes, that's no good. What would you do, Ben? You've done advertising. What would you do with this? How would you structure the advertising?
Yeah, look, I think you got to play it safe. So it's a view from the back of someone at a beautiful sunset, mountain pass, just sitting like this. And then your imagination does the rest, because you obviously don't want to see his hairy balls. But what a cool thing, Like you're having a drive home. You know what? I'm going to pull off and have a little Testacoozie and enjoy the sunset. And there he is, just having that moment, owning it. And you got soft setting sun, Testacoozie, to make more of every moment. Done.
Sure.
All right. Listen, guys, I can't believe we talked such nonsense for such a long time. It's already 8:00.
Gotta get to the day.
Yes.
Love you, Steve. Simphiwe,
just quickly before you go, Ben, Jared just says, I have my own Testacoozie at home. When I fart in the bath, the bubbles do the same job as that. And for that reason, I'm not. And I like that line, and for that reason, I'm out. It's almost like he's on Dragon's Den. He's like, and for that reason, I'm out. So well done, Jared. Beautiful. Simphiwe, as Ben says, good luck with your date this weekend.
No. Good luck to your date as well. I was going to say.
I'm not that bad, Ben. Why are you making it sound like I'm gonna bite him and eat him alive?
No, I'm not at all. This guy's got to be exceptional to make this work. I've got today. Nothing about you. You've got high standards. There's criteria at play here.
Excellent.
He'll be bad.
Have a good weekend, everybody. We will see you on